Hi, welcome friends. We are back again in another episode of Ideas Unplugged. And every time we talk about new things that are happening, how people and their new journeys or their interesting journeys can help us grow, especially during these challenging times. And with me here is Nitin Sonawane. I met
Namaste.
Nitin about almost 4 years ago. In fact, at a camp at the Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad, where Mahatma Gandhi started his journey in India of working towards the freedom movement. And it was a blessing because I met so many interesting people there. And Nitin stood out. Nitin started a journey at that time himself, which has taken him to many parts of the world. So let's hear it from him. So, Nitin, tell us a little bit. I was fascinated when you made that announcement that you're going to go on bicycle and by foot around the world. So, where have you been? What inspired you? Tell us anything about it.
Namaste, everyone. The Shankar Bhai and you met at the Gandhi Ashram. So it was amazing. I think so amazing moment for me and the Gandhi Ashram. With so many people there, and it was I think so one of the I got touch with the outer people out of from India. So it was one of the amazing moments in my life. But yeah, I'm from a small town called Rashin and in Maharashtra state, India. So right now, like I'm traveling across the world. I'm in the journey right now. So I was planned to do it for 3 years, but now it's been more than 3.5 years on a bicycle and walk around 4 continents. So I started my journey from Sevagram Ashram, Wardha, which is in center of India and one of the live ashram of Mahatma Gandhi. And the journey is to celebrate life and the message of Mahatma Gandhi. So Gandhiji was born 2nd October 69 in Porbandar, and he gave amazing stories to the world to inspire a new generation and to transform the world for justice, equality, and peace. So my journey is based on his life, his message of non-violence and way of life. So I started in 2016 in India. Then I went to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, China, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea on a bicycle, and then North and South America, and where I met again Shankar Bhai in San Francisco. We walked together on Golden Bridge, and then I moved down to Peru. Then I started walking in South Africa to follow footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. So we with like 6 people from India and from Japan. We walked to follow footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. We walk 1,400 kilometers where I switch my journey from bicycle to walk. And I walk across Africa from South Africa to Egypt, Cairo, and then moved to Europe. I celebrate 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi on 2nd October last year in Parliament Square, London, where Gandhi's statues was they put 2016. So yeah, I had an amazing journey there, and then Germany, Spain, Portugal. Right now, I'm in Georgia, stuck with COVID crisis. So yeah, here it's been more than 4 months right now. So just having a lot of fun. Had a charity walk here for 1 month to raise fund for migrant workers in India. So yeah, it's been amazing journey so far, and a lot of learning, a lot of new things, a lot of ideas, and meeting amazing people across the world. And one of the important things of my journey is based on generosity of people. So I don't have any plans wherever I go. I just go and go with the nature, go with people. I stay with them, eat with them every night. I knock their doors. I ask, can I stay in front of your home? And yeah, people let me after 2 3 chances. People say, yeah, you can stay, and they offer me food. And then next morning, with this same inspiration, this kindness, I go for next. One of the I think a beautiful part of the journey, where while we meet Shankar Bhai, we meet one of the traveler from China, Zilong Wang, and he was there at the Gandhi Ashram at the same time. So yeah, we he gifted his bicycle to me. So I was on the same bicycle for 2 years. So yeah, this is one of our connection with Shankar Bhai.
Very interesting. In fact, I was so impressed with your determination, and I was wondering, how is this possible? Because when I met you, uh, like we all do in India, we were talking a mix of many languages. And I was like, Nitin is going to go to places and they won't know a single Indian language, no Hindi, no Marathi, no other language. How will he survive? Those are the questions in my head. But it's amazing that you've literally traveled to dozens of countries around the world. And when we met in San Francisco, I could already see a huge change in you. I remember I had lived in the Bay Area for more than 25 years, San Francisco, but I never actually walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. I had bicycled on it. So we said, okay, let's do that because you're anyway walking. And during that walk, I asked you many questions, some of which you just answered, which is how do you trust people in unknown places? And Nitin, you mentioned that you just trust, and you go with your gut, and you come out of love and kindness, and people come to you with kindness. And amazing, you're actually doing that, and you inspired me because of your inspiration. I started my journey last year around October. Continued to travel around India first from the Sabarmati Ashram, and then went to South Korea, San Francisco, Mexico, and now I'm back in India, taking a break
Yeah.
because of the pandemic, but I will continue. So tell me, what kind of, what inspired you even to take on this journey? What made you say, I'm going to do this? Were there any childhood experiences? What was it?
So I think so. One of the I think so very important story in my life happened at the age of 16. But we, as born in India, we live a life of most of our life is social life. We more in Indian culture is more about social life. Like before starting our interview, we just talk like people do not knock the door in India; they just enter because we don't have any personal individual freedom in India. We have a social freedom. That's not social freedom. We are social animals. We are animals, but in the society we are not a different. We are part of society. So society cannot identify as individual. Society find as a whole society, not as individual. So this was one of the difficulties for me to to see the society and my individual ideas. They never match with what I seen and what I'm living in the society. I cannot match with those ideas, especially the religious ideas. There's so many superstitious things and that I try to challenge them at the early age. When I go to school, I in the science and all these books, I learn different things, and when I go to home or go to society, it's two different things. So how are you going to cope with that? So I choose more science, and at the age of 16, with the inspiration of Gautama Buddha, I decide to leave my home and seek my truth of life to find the truth of life. So I left home. I went to Pune. I stayed for a night in the train station with the tips and all. And yeah, but next day I actually buy a train ticket, but it was wrong timing because it was 24 hours time in the train system, not like normal 12 hours. In most like I just with the 12 hours. So I made a mistake with that, and I missed the train. And the next day I called my friend, and he said, "Man, come back home. That's so bad. So like everyone is searching for you, and they're trying to contact police and all." So I broke up with my idea, my thought, and then I back to home. And then
Wow, so this was when you're still a teenager, huh?
yeah, it was 16 when I was 16 or 17, in between
And then
16 and
what
17.
happened? Then how did that lead you to the next step of going on this long journey around the world?
So the thing was to seek truth of life is I think so we humanity is searching for thousands of years. So many, especially if I born in India, so most of the ideas were driven by Indian culture, Indian history, and present Indian contemporary history at that time. So you human being want to seek something that greater than us, or we want to find who we are. And if you see in Indian history, there are like Gautama Buddha, you see Mahavira Jaina, and there's so many greater philosophers who travel to find their own truth. And their mode was to leave the house and to seek outside. And you can find it within, but you have to move from your comfort zone and to seek outside. So that was the idea inspired me to go out and seek the truth. But after working in engineering field for 6 months, I realized this is not my way of life. So I quit my job, and afterward I joined Gandhian organization in Pune, where I work against the casteism and for religious harmony. And that was the idea of Mahatma Gandhi ji, where like if you want to find yourself, you have to do service for others, and then you'll find yourself better. So I did 1.5 year, and it was very close to me, the idea of equality and idea of justice. So I worked 1.5 year, and even though I was not satisfied with that, because I don't feel like I'm doing the best. I feel some difficulties within me because my action was maybe not that strong. So then I met one guy, and he said he's doing some cycle journey around the world for 3 years. So I said, yeah, let's go. I can join you because it's about 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi, and that's what he was my inspiration. So I started with him, and later on I continue my journey from India. We start together, but later on I started alone with my friends, other friends.
Wow, wow. I mean, it's really one thing to dream about these things, and it's another to actually do it. My journey so far has been only several months, but you've been at it for more than 3 years, 3.5 years, right? Since when did you
Yeah.
leave India? October of 2017, is that correct? Or
I
was it
left India.
2016?
I started in 2016 in September, November, but I left India in February
February
2017.
of 2017. And I met
Yeah,
you, I think, September of 2017
yeah,
in San Francisco. So my
yeah.
question to you, you must have seen so many people, so many places. Do any few things stand out for you? Were there certain incidents or certain places where there was a change, there was a shift in you? Did you
I
experience what you were
think
looking
so.
for?
Yeah, I think so. One of the amazing moment in my journey was when I was in South Korea. So as you know, I'm peace activist. I mostly participate in a lot of the non-violent activism across the world, in Japan, Okinawa, South Korea, and USA, many more places across the world. So I was in South Korea. I was protesting against the South Korean Navy base at Jeju Island. It is a small island in South Korea. So where around more than 100 peace activists, most of them, I think so 90% are women, and they are protesting against this base because this base is against the local community. They want this island as a peace island. So I joined them, and it was, I think so, one of the beautiful island. And I set up my tent near river and ocean. It's such a lovely, and I stay with this activist. So one day, what happened? We was protesting, and every day what we do, every day we go to the base, do human change, make songs, and like give some slogans there, shout some slogans, and then come back to the base, come back to our community center. So while we was there at the Navy base, one of our peace activists and the coastal guard of that base, they got violent argument, and they was fighting with verbally. So, in the idea of non-violence, any verbal action, verbal violence it's violence. In the idea of non-violence, there is three kind of things. First is your mind should be a non-violent, which means you should not generate hate because of it you suffer. The second one is verbal, which can harm other person that he can suffer because of your verbal verbal action. And the third is the violence, physical violence. So what I did next day, I took one flower and I gave it to that Coast Guard, and I said, "You're a good person," and I just went back to my base, my community center. Yeah. So this guy, this Coast Guard said, "No, I'm not a good person. I'm a bad person." I was not expecting that answer from him, but I just say, follow your heart and don't be harsh on these people. So I left the base. I went to community center, stay overnight, and the next morning, like you do every day, so we went there again. And this Coast Guard say, "Man, come here." I say, What happened?" He say, "I want to take a selfie with you." And
Wow.
he took a selfie with me, and next day I took a selfie with him. So that's, I think, so one of the amazing practical understanding for me of nonviolence. How was nonviolence and how it can change, it can transform the people. But most important, what I learned is about, if you generate any hate or any bad ideas about someone, you are the first person who are suffering, because it's like holding a burning coal on your hand and throwing at someone. Because of that, holding the burning coal, you're going to suffer first. So the amazing idea of nonviolence is to not hold this hate, to be free from suffering, and that's the idea of Mahatma Gandhi. And yeah, so it was amazing learning for me afterward.
Wow. Wow. That's so inspiring. And did you actually encounter any kind of violence along your journey? Were there people, even the
Um,
slightest?
it's happened sometime because the languages we don't speak. So maybe some places like in South Africa, we had like someone show us knife. Maybe his intention was to take something, but it's no problem because I hold nothing. So I talked with him for 5 minutes, and he took picture with me and he left. So I don't have anything. I don't have
That's
anything
good.
to
The
do.
selfie works, huh?
Yeah, so
So
it
are you
was.
have you been going solo now, or do you go with other people when you get a chance?
So sometime like in Africa, my walk was around 9 months. In Japan, I walked with a Buddhist monk for 1 month. It was almost 15 Buddhist monks from Nippon Zanmyoji. And in South Africa to Kenya, I walked with a Buddhist monk from Japan. So he was chanting the drum, and it was beautiful because I was carrying hold the banner. He was behind me and chanting. So people thought like we are selling something on the street. So they said, "Stop, stop, stop! What is selling? Show us." I said, "No, we are not selling. We are selling out of non-violence here." And then they read the banner, and then they was very fascinating about looking the drum because it was so nice drum, and the African people love drums, so it was
Yes.
beautiful color combination. And in my journey, my most focus is about youths. So I go to school, college, universities where I can share my ideas, because those are, I think, so very important people who can guide, who going to lead the world in the future. So if you give something great to them, I think so they're going to do amazing job. So that, I think, so the main focus of our journey.
Wow. Wow. In fact, my journey has been slightly different from yours. I don't use bicycle. I don't use my feet as much. I do it once in a
Mhm.
while, but I go and learn languages. I learn to sing and dance, and I do workshops on neuroscience of happiness or on dance or on other things. But I give myself more time in any place. In Cuernavaca, I was there for 3 months because of the pandemic. In Chihuahua, I
Mhm.
was there for about 10 days. In South Korea, I was there only 2 days because the pandemic broke out and I couldn't stay there. Otherwise, I would
Yeah.
be stuck there for a long time. But how do you relate to people? In my case, I get time to learn about the language and the culture. First 1 or 2 days are adjustment. After that, I get immersed in the culture. How do you do it? Because I know you're often on the road, so you're often meeting different people, different places. How do you connect? How do you relate to people when you don't know their language or their culture?
I think so. It's not difficult. It's just go with people, and the language just starts. You just start speaking with your action or your hands or your expressions. So it's a natural language of human beings. We are doing for these thousands of years. So it's not so difficult. In Asian country, I wrote up one page and I give to the people everywhere I go. I wrote who I am, what I'm doing, and what my message, and I give it to these people. I use Google Translator where I can talk with them, but it took like a lot of time. It's like 2 hours to do a normal conversation. So at that time I was so patient. Here, going so fast, but here younger generation speak English. In the school colleges, I get translators, so it's helped me a lot. So yeah, there's so many different way you can talk to the people, and I think so. The most important thing is just go, and your presence. I think so. It's give amazing message. Like if you meet a children along the way, they're going to definitely remember me for whole of their life because I'm unusual from alien country, from a different country, different world. For them,
Yes.
it's so fascinating, and I think so. They will inspire to do something different in their life. So it's your presence actually that's makes huge change. So and your food, I am vegetarian. Like that's another story. Like I was 25 years a non-vegetarian person, so I switched to vegetarian. So while eating vegetarian food with the people, like most of people around the world eat meat. So eating vegetarian food with them, it's kind of massive. I don't need to tell anything. They will ask why eating vegetarian,
Mm.
why you don't feel weak with your food. But yeah, they can see me for 3 years, 3.5 years traveling strongly. So I think so that's a practical message for them to understand the importance of nonviolence. So there are so many different ways you can teach them, like your ideas, like dancing and singing. So I think so. This is also one of the greatest idea to do with the people. You don't need a language for it. It just happen naturally. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. In fact, now that you've been in one place for since March, which is now a little over almost 3 months, what keeps you busy there in Georgia? This is in Georgia, which used to be part of the Soviet Union, right?
Yeah. So when I'm
Are
stuck
you in
here
a
for four
city or
months,
are you in a village
so
right now?
when I'm in city, capital city, Tbilisi, Georgia. I was planning to go to Armenia to join a walk with Jay Jagat, one of the biggest group. They're walking across the world for 1 year. But because of cold crisis, they left country, and then I couldn't enter there. So I just I just was without any plan for 2 weeks, and it was so depressing because you cannot go outside, just stay in one room, and nothing is changing in front of you. Everything is the same, and same people and the same walls and everything is us. So it was so depressing for me. But afterward, I make my own changes. So I did some online courses about artificial intelligence and some language courses like I was learning German, then some English, and then some other books to read. So I keep myself busy, and it was amazing time to be alone doing meditation, and yeah, it was I think so great 2 months, and then afterward I will start walk again. So I keep busy myself in the last 3 months. 1 month is just gone, but 3 months I utilize very well. So yeah, that's all in the cold crisis. A lot of learning though.
Very interesting. In fact, I was in Mexico, Cuernavaca, by the time you, I think, arrived in Georgia. And we tried to connect, but we only talked to each
Yeah.
other a couple of times. Things got so busy. And
Hmm.
in my case,
Yeah.
I had no choice but to learn Espanol, Spanish.
Hmm.
And that was great because, again, it gave me opportunities to meet with people online. Duolingo was useful and Google Translate, but I said I have to actually get experience. So I started talking to people online, then to the security people, then to the grocery store, wherever I would go, ask for directions or Uber. So yeah, it was a great experience. I also learned Indian cooking or general Mexican cooking because it was not
Yeah.
safe to eat outside. So of course I learned cooking. It was great. Did you also cook and things like that?
Yeah, now in the hostel, I like to cook myself. I cook more most in a hostel. If I stay in a hostel because I can cook there.
Oh,
So
that
I
gives you
stay in
the
a
okay. You have the option of
yeah,
cooking there.
yeah, because we get everything there, and so it's very easy to cook your own food. So most of the time I cook my food, and I make so many different things. Like according to my body type, I try different things which can suit me, and not just Indian but local Mexican or
Exactly.
sometimes Chinese, Japanese. Yeah, so I tried everything because I think so. Most important for me is food is medicine for me. It's not for taste, but how it's affecting my mind, my consciousness. So I think so. That's most important thing to have food.
Yes, yes. In fact, I experimented with so many different vegetables and recipes because uh, in Mexico there are many different vegetables and even different fruits. I'm sure you're experiencing that in Georgia. So, what next? Um, Looks like you've learned some life lessons and you've met what thousands of people probably along the way. I'm here in India and I plan to continue once the pandemic subsides. In your case, you are still in Georgia. What's your plan going forward during the pandemic?
I think so. I can go maybe next month or within this month. I can go to Turkey, and then I'll wait for the which country will going to open next. So I can't say anything because the government everywhere around the world they are not sure about anything.
That's true.
Everyone like we thought like maybe in March they will maybe more make some laws or some guideline they can make, but so far there is no guideline or anything. Every time, every month they are changing the immigration policies, so it's very hard to make any decision right now. So I says let's just settle down. In the meantime, I can talk with people, and once the border get open, just move and then start walk again. So even if they said 2 months more, then I can walk. I'll start walk again here in Georgia. So yeah, I have like so many different options that I can do. So, but thinking to end of this year, I'll back to India, along from Iran and Afghanistan, Pakistan. So that is my right now intention to do. So let's see how it goes. You never know what's going to happen next in this pandemic.
So now that you've seen so much of the world, starting from rural India to the city Pune and then traveling around India, you've seen so many places around the world. Do you think you can now settle down back in India? What do you think going after this journey? What's next after, let's say, 3 years, 5 years from now? Have you kind of given it a thought?
Yeah, but yeah. So last 3 years, 3 years, I think so. I never think about this because problem is our mind. We human beings continuously changing, and your ideas and your mostly the ideas change a lot every day because you get different experience, different knowledge that you don't know before. So every day we evolve ourselves to go much higher position. So I keep myself reserved until 3 years to not to take any decision. But in last 6 months, I was thinking on that, and so I found some non-violent way to do work. So I will work on a seaweed which can be which will be a non-violent and sustainable for ocean. And the other thing I want to work on artificial intelligence, which can to help to raise human consciousness. So that's I think so the two areas I like to work in the future. Where to work, I am not sure about that so far. I will find the best possible place where I can learn more. I can exercise more. So it's depend on where I can get more accessibility of things like AI or the place where I can grow the seaweed. So depending on these places, I'm going to choose. But most preferably, I will try to settle down in India. Not settle, but try to start the project in India, then move wherever I can. So that's like right now my plan.
Wow, Nitin, it's so amazing and so fascinating. Do you, since my friends would like to learn more about these kinds of things, do you have any suggestions? Because I'm sure when you left, and even when I left India only in February. The pandemic was just starting, but I thought it was not going to be a big deal. But this is like a event of a lifetime, and you're still continuing on your journey. And I'm virtually continuing on my journey, and I will continue as soon as the government start relaxing. Do you have any words of wisdom for anybody else who would want to take on such a journey? Do you have any suggestions? Maybe how they can plan? Is it possible to plan?
I think so. The people lose hope for to start some kind of journey because one of the biggest challenge, especially in India, they have social problems because as I said before, like our life is social. Like most of life is there is no individualism in our society. There is some space, but still it's not enough to take a big decision like this. So this is, I think, so one of the challenging things for as a family if you're staying your mothers and father and sisters, and so it's very hard to take this decision. But you are convinced about yourself, then you should start. And I think so. This is the most important thing. The other things will just will happen. There is no problem. Take a passport or tries to do some physical exercise for what you're doing or cycling, traveling, whatever. Make some preparation a little bit, but most important thing is I think so the family and society, how are you going to talk with them and make your position stronger. So this is I think so the one of the challenging thing to be deterministic about what you want to do. So you must know what is your inspiration, because what happens once you start your journey, in the middle of journey you lose your inspiration. So
Mm.
you must have a great inspiration to start the journey. Without that, you'll break up many times. But I think so it's okay to break up because you learn a lot and you just continue moving on. But inspiration, the first inspiration is most important thing for to start journey anywhere, any journey in the life, to have a strong determination on what you want to do and achieve. So that's I think the first most important thing. If you start like I liked when you see someone who are doing something and you got inspired, and it will not work like that way. You must have your own inspiration, not someone else. Someone else will be guide you a little bit, but from your own inner inspiration is I think so the one of the most important thing for any challenging time. So I think so that's my message to the people who want to do some similar things in the life.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That is very important. And again, I'm going to ask you a similar question as I asked before.
Mhm.
Do you see Nitin Sonawane today and the one I met 4 years ago? And I also met you almost 2 years ago, right? So do you see a big difference in who you are? I'm not just talking about the hair and the hairstyle or face. I'm talking about your values, your outlook towards life. In what ways has that changed? Yeah, December 2016 is when we first met at the Gandhi Ashram. Then we met,
Mhm.
I think, September of 2018, no, 2017, a year later. And now we are talking in June of 2020,
2020.
2020. So, in what ways what has shifted? Are you the same person, or do you feel differently about the world?
I think so. The same thing in this me is like curiosity to find the answers. I think so. That's the same. And but with this 3.5 journey makes huge difference in my life. So I see the world differently than before. I can see the things clear, very clear than the before. So that's I think so the biggest impact in my life. The It's very hard to like say this change because everyone is going to change. Like you also changed in last 3.5. Everyone going to change because we have some experience. For me, to seek the answers, to challenge your own possibilities, like your own comfort zone. Uh, it's kind of like my comfort zone was in my home when I was in Pune, working and staying in the same room. but also I got now another comfort zone where which is like just moving, which is giving me comfort, just changing the places to place. It is also I found this comfort. So it's challenging for me right now to how to cope with again another stable life. So it's also a comfort zone right now. So so many things, so many ideas, thoughts are totally changed. Maybe you what I talked with you or with people in the Sabarmati ashram, maybe not the same right now. That might be a huge change in my life. I think so. It's a more humbling experience. I found myself very small in this journey because what I even is if you go in a bigger ocean, you see yourself very small, and that's what I found myself. And now it's time for universe to explore right now for me. So getting smaller and smaller every day when I go humble, and I think so more gratitude for everything in life. What I can like, food is very important part of life. You have to eat every day, and so every day is challenge to eating food, to getting food from people, to not having food. I think so. To get this food in the stomach is gratitude, and we can experience, we can feel, we can share. I think so. Everything in the life is gratitude, and that's the important thing. What I learned in this 3.5 years. So yeah, huge change every day.
Wow, wow, fascinating, fascinating. In fact, as you clearly pointed out, uh, I examined my calling when I met you and I saw you on the journey. And I said, no, walking and bicycling, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm at a different stage in my life. But definitely, my calling was for singing and dancing and learning about cultures. And that has really, I want to thank you for that, to just be that. It's not like you gave me a formula. There was no formula. What I learned from
Yeah.
you was trust and go where there's
Hmm.
trust, go
I think so.
where I feel.
That's very key for the journey.
Yeah, yeah. And I did find I actually approached people and I continue to approach. So far, I've been only in Korea and in, back home in the US, but in different places. And then in 3, 4 months in different parts of Mexico, mostly Spanish. But again, I now get called from many places. And I'm taking that with the clarity that I don't have to know the language, I don't have to know about the culture. I have to fully trust the people I'm going with, and then it'll be wonderful. So, with that, I want to say
Absolutely.
thank you to all of you who are watching. And let's
Thank you.
find a way where we can share your contact information as well. I think I'll post it on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that. And we'll find a way so that people can even directly ask you questions if they have any. And if you have any questions for me, or if you want to hear more about Nitin, we can always do a follow on call. And thanks again, Nitin, for your time. Do you have any other
Thank you, Shankar.
comments? Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I think so. The last I will say, just have hope on people, hope on humanity, because this is the first stage to achieve peace. If you don't have hope on humanity, you never get the peace. That's what Gandhiji said. Never lose hope on humanity. Humanity is
That's
like
true.
the ocean. The few dirty drops cannot make ocean dirty. So
That's
yeah,
true.
thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Really, really important.
Thank you.
Namaste.